University. And if we know when the choice point is, this is the value of the time code calculator and looking at the cycles. If we know when a choice point occurs, then that is the moment in time when our choices have the greatest potency to change the pattern of the past, the frightening patterns, the destructive patterns of suffering, personal and global. And the reason I'm saying that is because 2010 and 2011 happen to represent a window of time where some of the most destructive and frightening patterns of the last 100 years, where those conditions are repeating, the cycles, the fractal cycles are repeating. So 1929, for example, we mentioned this earlier, the first time we had a global economic collapse. 1914, the first year we had global war. 1861, the first time we had civil war. 1941 was the first time the United States of America was surprised and attacked on American soil. All of these cycles, and there are others as well, as different as the seed dates are from one another, all of those cycles are repeating within the next 12 to 18 months in 2010 and 2011. So at first it sounds scary, and then we realize that what that means is that in 2010, 2011, the choice points to forever walk away from those conditions are coming up for us as individuals and collectively. We have this rare opportunity at the end of this cycle to redefine the patterns of war and suffering and disparity that have led to those things in the past. And the fractal time calculator, the time code calculator, tells us when those cycles are going to repeat. Now, I just want a little aside to this. I developed this work was the result of probably 26 years of research using the principles and the mathematics of nature to help us understand the cycles. It was late last year in 2009 when a gentleman approached me at a conference after I had shared with the audience what I'm sharing with you right now. And he asked me, he said that he identified himself. He worked for a civilian think tank who is also looking at cycles with big computers and very complex mathematics. And he said, where did you get your cycles from? And I told him they're cycles of nature and how I arrived at these. And I said, why are you asking? And he said, because you're using your cycles, we're using ours, but they're both pointing to the same things, that these next 2 years are really pivotal years in the redefining the events that have shaped our world in the past. And the reason I think all this is important is because when we talk about 2012, so many people are waiting for that date for something to happen. But if we look closely at what the Mayan science priests were telling us, and if we look closely at what Edgar Cayce and Nostradamus and Gene Dixon and the Hopi prophecy and the Tibetan prophecy and the Andean prophecy are telling us, if we look closely, and the Mayans, if we look closely at what they're all saying, what they're saying is that 2012 is the beginning of a new world age where we begin living the new way of living, whatever that means to us. It implies that all the changes that have to be in place for that new world happen before 2012. So I think 2010 and 2011 is where the action is. And that we have this rare opportunity to, it's like a reality check, to reset the conditions that have led to so many of the great challenges that we see in our lives today. And 2012 is when we get to begin the new world with all of those things behind us. So we're redefining our economic system. We're redefining the way we fuel this planet. We're redefining when we use war to solve our differences. We're redefining how we share resources of food and electricity and water and technology and medicine. across borders. All of that's happening right now. And that's exactly what the cycles are telling us. So I wanted to say that before, if we get sidetracked, I wanted our listeners to hear that I think that this is a rare and precious, pivotal opportunity to bring joyous change to our world rather than a countdown to the end of our planet.
Mm-hmm. So,
does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. I'm curious myself if the time code calculator has been correlated with astrological cycles, because you can see cycles through.
It has to, because the time code calculator takes into account natural rhythms. Those astrological cycles are inherent in the time code cycles. It's a great question, and we cannot separate an astrological cycle from a cycle of war and peace, or a cycle in our personal lives. And I want to emphasize that this works in our personal life. I give an example in the book, and people can go online and do this. If you can pinpoint the age in your life when you had the first experience, the seed event of either joy, abundance and success, or hurt and loss and betrayal, or any other emotion for that matter. But if you can pinpoint those things, you will see it will calculate when those conditions will repeat again and again and again, and they take into account, because they are natural cycles, they take into account the astrological cycles that I think you're asking me about. While you don't enter them into the calculator, they're inherent in the calculations.